Hey everybody, this is Pastor Chris coming to you from Lexington Park Baptist Church. I'm live and this is PC Studios and it is September the 30th, 2021. How in the world are you doing? I hope you're highly favored and blessed by God. Good to be with you here today for the last program of the week as it's Thursday. So let's get our groove on. So far, I see the shepherds out there. Welcome, everybody. Anybody else that's out there, please sign in today. Let me know you're here. Hey, welcome from almost California, Maryland, all the way over to California, the state, to the shepherds. Good to have you on the program this morning. Hey, everybody else, make sure, again, you sign in. Good to have you here. We're on Caster, going out on YouTube and Facebook. And if you want to be live with us right now during the broadcast, you need to be on Facebook.com/Pastor Chris McCombs. All right, everybody. Today we're going to pick back up. We've been talking about the adulterous woman this week. And right now I want to talk about how compassion, the compassion of Christ, can lead us to be changed by Christ. So compassion should lead to change. I think we live in a culture where that, unfortunately, does not happen as often as it should. But I do believe, fully believe, that if we do things correctly and we're living our lives in a way that honors God and we're following Christ, that his compassion, his love for us, his mercy and his grace and all that goes into his compassion should lead us to change. Because that's ultimately what Jesus wants to do, is to see our lives changed for Jesus Christ. And so the woman caught in adultery is no different. So let's pick up with that story. And we're really focusing on after Jesus has stood up and said, hey, go, who has no sin, cast the first stone. And so when I pick up in this story, we're going to look at verse 8 on in the story. So the woman's caught in adultery. She's there. They brought him. They're trying to accuse him, trying to accuse her of wrongdoing, trying to get her stoned to death. And then Jesus has stooped down. You without sin do this. And then you go ahead and throw the first stone. Nobody can. So it says he stooped down, verse 8. He stooped down again and continued writing on the ground. When they heard this, they left one by one, starting with the older men, until only he was left, that is Jesus, with the woman in the center. And then we see then in verse 10, Jesus stood up, he said to her, woman, where are your accusers? Where are they? Has no one condemned you? And she said, no one, Lord. So then Jesus answered her, then neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. Go and sin no more. So what I want us to see here is the change that happens because Jesus is involved. Yesterday we talked about, whenever Jesus intervenes, there's hope. But I want to say this, whenever Jesus' compassion is present, there's always the hope of change. And I think change is good. Now, the world and culture, society, culture in general would say, I don't want to change. I don't want to change. I don't want to change. I'm okay like I am. God made me this way. Love wins. Let me love who I want to love. Let me do what I want to do. Let me live my life. We know the statements that are in society. They're all over the place like that. But the truth is, God wants to see us live a transformed life. Don't conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's change, you guys. Transformation, repentance, which is part of Christianity, is about change. I think what people want to do is they want to stay in their sin. Now, this woman, she didn't want to stay in her sin. I don't believe that. I think as she's standing there, she knows she's worthy of condemnation. And I think the people that wanted to stone her to death, they weren't looking inwardly into their own selves. So no one was focused on their sin. The people that brought her thought they were righteous in their actions. The woman obviously had made these decisions. She was a broken woman. She had a broken marriage. She was in a just broken relationship. She's sexually immoral. She knew these things. And she had engaged in them. Whether she thought she was right or wrong is indifferent. I mean, she knew the risk of getting caught, and she did get caught. And so we have this situation of people that are guilty. They're in need of change, but they weren't willing to change. Both scenarios. Both the people that want to stone her to death and the woman. So we have this scenario where when the compassion of Christ comes, it's not going to condone our wrongdoing. Jesus would not condone, even though the Mosaic law, which is the righteous ways of God, holding people accountable for sin, right? He was not going to allow this woman to be stoned to death. He knew the way this was playing out, that this was wrong. And so Jesus, in his compassion, did not condone what was happening to the woman or what she had done, nor did he condemn those in the crowd or the woman. Notice what Jesus' compassion does. The condemnation that happens, if you will, is an internal conviction. And it wasn't condemnation, it was a conviction. The people knew they were wrong, so they dropped their stones and they walked away. The woman knew she was wrong. She stood there and she looked at Jesus. There's no one left but you, Lord. What say you? Basically, she's turning back to him like they asked, what do you say, Lord? And she's like, okay, Lord, it's just you. It's just me. Everyone else is gone. All my accusers are gone. And Jesus doesn't accuse her either. So the change is in everybody. Do you see what compassion of Christ does in this story? I don't know how the older men walked away, by one. They dropped their stones and they walked away. Their intentions, we know it says in the text right here, their intentions were to try to trap him. Look at verse 6. That being gone, and now it's just Jesus and this woman. But up to that point, one by one, they would leave. They changed. Jesus' comment says, if you have no sin, cast the first stone. Listen, I guarantee you there was some in that crowd. Not everyone got it. Everyone knew in that moment they couldn't throw the stone. But I think also probably some of them left changed. I think that the compassion of Christ and to see what he said and what he did probably did challenge them and convict them to where they changed. And then there's the woman, the one that truly was guilty, truly was worthy to be stoned to death. Jesus, in his compassion, also did not condone or condemn her. But then he made a statement. It's a statement of change. Look what he says. Verse 11. Then neither do I condemn you. Go and from now on do not sin anymore. Go and sin no more. So that is a call to change. Now, we know this woman probably did sin beyond this day. Hopefully she didn't repeat the pattern of adultery. Hopefully she greatly learned from this experience and she made proper changes in her life to be more like Christ, to be more godly, to be more focused and deliberate in her ways, to be more righteous. I guarantee she probably didn't become a condemning person, but she probably didn't become a condoning person yet either. But she probably became a more compassionate person. And I guess the moral of this lesson today for all of us is that the compassion of Christ will lead to change in our lives. And so I want to encourage you, just like Jesus was encountering with this woman, his compassion led to these convictions that led to ultimately these changes in everyone, in the audience, but especially this woman. Now, I don't know who you relate to. Maybe you relate to the person with the stones. Maybe you relate to the woman. Maybe you need to hear Jesus say to you right now, I don't condemn you either. Maybe you need to hear Jesus say to you right now, you who have no sin, cast the first stone, because you need to do a reflection upon yourself. And again, Jesus is not calling any of us to condone sin. If there is sin in our church, if there's sin in our personal lives, we need to deal with those sins. They do need to be exposed like this woman was exposed. But we need to expose sin without condemnation and without condoning it as being right. And it's something that's hard for us to figure out. How do we walk that fine line? And I think compassion is the only way, but Jesus models it for us. Jesus could have condemned the whole audience. Jesus could have actually authorized the Mosaic law to play out. Jesus could have actually cast the first stone. But Jesus, in his wisdom and in his divinity, but also in his humanity, decided not to condemn. Instead, he decided to have compassion and decided to challenge that this woman would change her life. And I would say, even though he didn't make the statement, go and sin no more, to the crowd, when they left, he basically did that to them too. You can't throw it because there's sin in your life. Go get that right. And I think everyone in this moment had a moment of reflection to examine their own hearts to make sure that they're right with God. And I think that's healthy for you and me too. So I want to encourage you today. What sins do you need to lay out there to God? What sins what attitudes do you need to drop the rocks on and say, I can't throw this stone. Yes, it's wrong. I need to adjust. I need to deal with it. I need to focus on it, but I need to do it with compassion. What areas maybe have you condoned in your life that you need to say, I need to own this. I can't condone this. I need to compassionately challenge this. And then what areas do you need to pick yourself up off the ground and walk, hearing those words, go and sin no more. I think there's so many lessons and layers to this story that we can apply to our lives. And it's got to touch everyone in the audience today. We got to be able to relate to somebody in this story. But whenever the compassion of Christ comes, there is going to bring change in our lives. So let's make sure that we seek the compassion of Christ so that we can see the change of Christ without condoning or condemning. Hey, listen, that's all I've got for you today. I hope this has been a blessing to you. And what I want to do is give you a forward look at what I'm going to talk about in these final moments. Next Monday, a really important discussion I'm going to have with the church. I'm going to talk, if you're not aware, Southern Baptist Convention has got a lot going on with the executive committee right now. And it's dealing with this investigation into was there mishandlings in the Southern Baptist Convention over cases of sexual abuse. And how more fitting than to end this discussion on the adulterous woman to talk about that event. So on Monday, I'm going to talk. I have prayed. I've been patient. I've not weighed in on Facebook on what's going on. I do have an article I will post probably this weekend, or I might wait till Monday. More could happen between now and Monday, but I want to encourage everyone to pray and be patient. There are things that are going on behind the scenes that many of us are unaware of. I am privileged to some sources that I really trust and rely upon that are in upper echelons in the convention, and even one that sits on the executive committee. I was a messenger and I voted for this investigation and believe this investigation needs to happen and will happen. I do think that the trustees have been put in a tough situation to where philosophically we all know this has to happen, and we have appointed an individual investigative body, but also realize the trustees have to look out for legalities and things that could happen, and also the well-being of the victims. And I assure you this as best as I can tell you. I don't know everybody on the executive committee, but the ones that I do know are telling me we want to see this happen. We want total transparency, total truth to come out. We want to see justice done if there was wrongdoing. We want to see it exposed and dealt with. And that is the intention. And the intention is to follow the intent of the messengers, which was to have this investigation. It will happen. Once we figure out this attorney-client privilege thing, I'm telling you it's going to happen. So Monday, I might have more information. And so I want to talk about sexual abuse on Monday. And I want to talk about what's going on in the executive committee. Best that I know, I will try only to stay to the facts of what we actually know. Because there's people posting everything out there. So please, if you're out there, don't believe everything you read. And even some godly people that I know are posting things out there and they just don't know the full picture. Okay, so this is a time for us to pray and be patient and to walk in the Spirit Yes, we all want to see justice. We all want to see fairness. We all want to see complete transparency. And those things I do believe will come. If they don't, then it's a totally different Chris McCombs. It's a totally different response because we have to have that. So if you're not up on that, it's okay. But in case you see stuff in the news, in case you read something on social media, I wanted you to hear it from me. So there's a lot of stuff out there, very condemning and accusing. We probably could all learn some lessons. This couldn't be more fitting. We probably could all learn some lessons from the adulterous woman story. So apply what needs to apply to you. But please have your eyes open and your spirit open. And I hope that you can kind of listen to my 2 cents and kind of wait to see what happens before you start believing one side or the other or whatever. We support the victims. We totally support transparency, but we also at the same time, until it's proven otherwise, we believe that those in leadership in the SBC are being honest with us. And we do need to trust our executive committee to do what's right for the convention, but also meet the intent of the messengers. Let them do their job. And in the end, even though it grieves me, it's moving slow, even though I don't agree with everything I'm hearing, I know too, I think it's going to work out. All right? I do really believe, and I believe that for anybody out there that's ever been a sexual abuse victim, our hearts go out to you. And in this situation, I do not believe there's a cover-up. I do believe transparency is coming. Anyway, that's my 2 cents, and that's what I wanted to share with you where we're going Monday. And it'll be a tough discussion, but I hope it'll be a fruitful one. So come prepared for that on Monday Moments Monday. Hey, listen, have a great weekend. Please, 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 10 a.m., 10 a.m., 10 a.m. We worship at Lexington Park Baptist Church. Be here, right here, right here. Be here at Lexington Park Baptist Church, 46855 South Shangri-La Drive, or be here on digital right here on this channel or on lppbconline.org, or you can go to facebook.com/Lexington Park Baptist. We'll see you Sunday at 10 a.m. Have a great service and have a great weekend, and we will see you Monday for Monday Moments. God bless.